Coming up next, one of the greatest guitarists of the rock era tells us the story of meeting his counterpart, legendary singer, and working on their first hit together. It's a headbanging rocker that many have played at their wedding, which is funny because it's actually an anti-wedding song, anti-marriage. Also, many were confused with the lyrics, thinking that the singer wrote it about his sister, misunderstood the slang. And what's more, this iconic music video that went along with it, it cost very little and became one of the most visually iconic of all time. They crafted it as in the glory days of MTV. Great interview coming up on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember cruising in your car just a little bit longer so that you could listen or sing along to that great song on the radio that was just a little bit longer, you're going to love this channel. Make sure to subscribe below to get the stories from the artists. Click the bell so you always know when our latest are coming out. Check us out on Patreon as well. We have some new stuff going up there. So it's time for another edition of our series, Revelations. This is where artists and writers take us through a deep dive into their greatest songs and their greatest albums, where you get never before shared details about your favorite songs. You know, we're coming up on the 42nd anniversary of MTV. I was thinking the last few days about the most iconic music videos of the early years of MTV. You know, back when they actually played music. I gotta tell you, between the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and MTV and Rolling Stone, I don't know what to say. There's very little rock and roll in each of these three institutions. Change the name of the channel. It's kind of embarrassing, actually. It used to be at the forefront of music culture, and now it's all about pregnant teenagers and catfishing. Snooki still on it? I don't even know. One of the most pivotal videos in MTV's early days was, of course, White Wedding by the great Billy Idol.
It's a nice day for a white wedding.
The imagery is so iconic. Billy Idol attending a goth wedding with his then-girlfriend Perry Lister. You know, she played the bride. Actually, Perry is one of the dancers that are in black leather as well. Such a classic video. I mean, the wedding ring is made of barbed wire. Actually, when Perry Lister is cut by the wire, it's real blood. She wanted it to look totally real, so she insisted that she actually be maimed.
It's a nice day to start again.
Speaking of the new wave Elvis Billy Idol, I've got a Professor of Rock live show coming up with both he and his guitarist Steve Stevens on April 12th coming up. The link to get tickets is below. It's going to be a great show where we'll go behind the scenes of the songs and actually play them. It's like MTV Unplugged meets Inside the Actor's Studio on steroids. Tickets are available at parkcityinstitute.org. Again, that's parkcityinstitute.org. Get your tickets and come see this show. We're going to definitely cover White Wedding. So this is around the time that Steve Stevens started playing for Billy Idol when this song came about. So apparently when Billy Idol arrived in New York to record his debut album, he knew that he needed more songs than he had at the moment. So famed producer Keith Forsey put Idol in the mixing room with a semi-acoustic guitar and a drum machine and told him just to jot down some ideas. And then Keith Forsey walked out, leaving Billy to try and put these songs together. Now, inspiration landed like a ton of bricks. Billy said, and I quote, "I looked at the blank page in front of me, instinctively picked up the pen, and without thinking, I wrote two words, White Wedding. I searched for my favorite key on the guitar, and I started making chords to create music with a spaghetti western-like vibe. It seemed like the right way to start a song. 20 minutes later, he'd written White Wedding." He wanted it to sound like Clint Eastwood.
Hey, little sister, who's your Superman? Hey, little sister.
And when he says little sister, he's just using that as slang to talk about his girlfriend. But a lot of people thought he had written it about his sister. They got it confused with the slang. This song with this memorable guitar line and Idol snarled chorus. It was the second single from Billy's second self-titled album that came out in '82. It's actually released twice, which we'll talk about in the interview.
Sister, who's the one you want? Hey, little sister, shotgun.
We have guitarist and Billy Idol's all-time foil Steve Stevens to give us all the details, how he and Billy met and came together to record this 80s classic and how it's conquered pop culture since. Talk about the video as well. As we get into this interview, I want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear, the glasses I always wear. Right now, if you click on the info button right up here, you can design your glasses. You can actually put in great features like blue blocks that protect your eyes from digital blue light that we experience every day from looking at screens. They're called blocks. Take a look today, and you'll also get the best prices, up to 80% off regular retail prices. That's phenomenal with the inflation that we're going through right now. So click on the info button to get the best deal. White Wedding was really a pivotal song to forge Billy's solo career, and the music arrangement or that song was critically important. Tell us about creating the riff and your palm muting for White Wedding to capture that edgy, dark spirit of the track.
White Wedding was the last song to be done for the first album.
It's a nice day for a white wedding.
We didn't have a single. So our producer, Keith, locked Billy away in the studio. We had come to Los Angeles to record, and we were staying in the Chateau Marmont. So at about 9 in the morning, banging on my door, it's Billy, bleary-eyed, with a ghetto blaster. Because I think I got it. I think I got the single on cassette. Pops on the cassette, and it was the arrangement was there, including the most of the spaghetti western intro, guitar intro thing. So that was that was the last song to be done for that record. And then, that was like the light bulb kind of went off, and we went, oh, that's our future. We knew the next record, that was the jumping off point. But yeah, the idea for that kind of syncopated guitar thing that comes in the second verse.
Hey, little sister, who is it you're with?
I'll tell you where we got this idea from was we were listening to a lot of Suicide, Marty Rev and Alan Vega. And Marty Rev on his keyboard would always do these kind of syncopated, duck, 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 this against the beat. And I said, Billy, what if I do that with the guitar? Second verse, bring in a kind of Marty Rev rhythm guitar thing.
Hey, little sister, shotgun.
And I said, yeah, try it, and that became part of my style. So really, and then obviously when it came time to do Rebel Yell, it was an extension of that.
With a rebel yell, she cried, more.
I've read that you and Billy wanted the intro for White Wedding that was like a flag hearkening its arrival. I love that.
Yeah, it's like the cavalry's coming. A lot of these things we did blindly, but we knew, okay, we got to have something come in because, imagine if the song just started 1, 2, 3, 4, ba, da, 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 da. Okay, on the radio, the guys, DJs talking, whatever. But if you have, it's just like, oh, now it's, okay, here they come. I see them over the hill, So we followed through on that. I think most every Billy Idol song has some kind of intro like that. And it was usually an afterthought. Okay, leave me alone. Give me a half hour. I'll come up with something. Same with Rebel Yell, It's become a kind of a signature thing that we do.
Must have been difficult to build a rhythmic energy and still maintain that thematic darkness.
I think that, we were based in New York at that time, and I moved into Manhattan at around 78, and it's pretty dangerous there at the time. I lived 30th Street and 8th Avenue, and I saw some gnarly stuff. So that darkness, and every day being on the subway, and that kind of like subterranean dwelling, I think definitely lend itself. And Rebel Yell was recorded in New York, so as well as Whiplash Smile, and at that time in New York, it was. It was a lot different than it is now. It was dangerous, but man, was it exciting! There was so much music going on, and it was such a night city. You know, you didn't go out until midnight and didn't come back home till 7 in the morning or whatever. It was really, and you heard great music doing that. Yeah, you know, you partied a bit, but you got to see great musicians and music.
There were pockets of so many different things going on at that time. And
There sure was, yeah.
That's amazing.
Artists, you know, and Basquiat and Haring and all this stuff was exploding at that time, you know, and it was affordable, you know, to live there.
Is there anything that sticks out to you about White Wedding when you guys recorded it?
You know, our producer Keith had originally been a drummer, and he started as a drummer for Giorgio Moroder. The track was, we knew we had something really good, and it was we knew that the groove and the underneath had to be it had to compete with dance music, and I remember we pleaded with Keith to play drums on it. We needed that incessant, and we needed a bit of the English. You know, the English drummers have a certain thing or European drummers have a certain swing to it, and certainly Keith did. And he said, "I'm not a drummer anymore. I'm the producer." We said, "Go in there, come on, just put the drums out. We won't tell anybody." He's not credited on it, and he went in and cut the drums in one take. It was like from that point on, everything that we built upon it was solid, and it was a absolute pleasure to place my guitars against those drums.
The shotgun, last day to start again.
And we just knew, you know, we had a really good song, and we were not settling for anything. Everything that went on the song had a purpose, and we kept a very high standard. There was no extraneous, you know, it either worked or no, you know, okay, nobody should get their feelings hurt if your idea didn't work or anything. It's not about that. It was very obvious what worked and what didn't.
Well, one of the many things about Billy as a vocalist is his dynamics, his intensity, because when you first hear it, he's like, "Start again," and it's subtle.
Hey, little sister, who's the only one?
But then when he's not always coming right at you with the sneer, he builds up to that, and when it hits you, it's like a punch in the face, and that's how that song really just roped people in, like, wow, this is amazing.
Start again.
A great song should be like a film, you know, and if you notice after the high action scene or whatever's going on, bombs are going off, and after that it's always the guy on the ground and he's bleeding, or he's embracing the girl, they've made it, and there's this calmness, and those hills and peaks and valleys are what make films great and what makes songs great. You know, Jimmy Page talks about light and shade, and so obviously, you know, if Billy's on 10 the whole time, it's okay, that's cool, but the dynamics and the chilled outness and it kind of like that kind of gives me a roadmap. I just follow where the vocal is going and what the story is, you know.
Take me back home, man.
I'm always amazed that guitar players don't, you know, first thing I do, you know, I've had a long career of working with artists, and first thing I do is ask for a lyric sheet. And they go, well, most guitar players don't ask for I go, yeah, but I have to know the story, you know. I got to know, you know, I got to try and convey what you're talking about here.
It was the look too, the music video with the leather.
What's that? Nice day to start again.
This was in the heyday of MTV, and you guys' music really made an impact, especially on MTV, because some people struggled with that when the music videos came in. There were artists that couldn't do the visual thing. It was just the music. And then others could do the visual thing, but not really the music. And you guys had that great balance where you could do both.
It's all Billy, I have to say, you know. And he had, you know, when I met him, he had a community of people that had come over from England, and obviously his girlfriend at the time, Perry Lister, choreographed the videos and got the dancers together and stuff. But you know, Billy would assemble the right people, and he you know, I mean, yeah, the English are really good at that. the Americans are, were great bands and great music, but the English, I don't know, I find they have maybe it's the school system or something, but they really know a lot about history and stuff. And, Billy knows more about American history than most Americans and can, draw upon all that stuff. So, and also, Aucoin was a great manager to, if anybody had an idea. I remember when we went in to do Rebel Yell, I said, we've got to improve on the guitar sound, because I didn't know anything about engineering, and we've got to capture the guitars in a bigger way. And I went to Aucoin and he found the engineer, Dave Whitman, because he had worked with Kiss and some of the other Aucoin bands, and found out he had done Led Zeppelin and all this stuff. So we had resources, Billy had video directors that he knew to work with, and he could sit with them and come up with these concepts.
Well, White Wedding, it was underappreciated in its initial release in '82. It didn't chart on the Billboard Hot 100, but it was re-released as Billy's popularity as a solo artist, and video became a staple on MTV. The visuals were so great with the bride and everything, and Billy. And it just set that iconic look that everybody knew.
It's a nice day to start again.
And that second campaign, it broke the top 40 at number 36 in '83. But I mean, it's much bigger than its chart position. I mean, it's been used in so many movies, and especially I remember in The Wedding Singer, they actually showed the TV playing the video.
Come on, it's a nice day for a white wedding.
As opposed to just hearing it, because it was so iconic both ways.
No one ever said to him, okay, you're going to do this. We never took direction from the director. It always came from first of all, it came from the music. What's the song like? And then take it from there. Who's the right director to do this? And who are the right cinematographers and people. A lot of people that we worked with back then have gone on to do movies and TV, and there were a lot of talented people around us.
White wedding.
It's a nice day to start again, right? Leave us a comment about this classic 80s new wave hit. The video is so classic as well. Billy Idol, Steve Stevens, the new wave Elvis, the new wave Jimmy Page. What are your memories of this song and the music video? What are your memories of when you had MTV? Let's talk about that below. Classic MTV. Let us know in the comments. If you dig our content, we invite you to subscribe. Check out our merch as well. Get yourself a Professor of Rock shirt. It's all about keeping the music alive, my friends. Till next time, 3 chords.